That's a County View live at Uncut. I'm your host, where what you see is what you get, and what you don't is better yet, John Arhitis, talking the latest and greatest in Hudson County news as we do every week. So let's first talk about this very intriguing lawsuit, in my opinion, out of the Peninsula City. So what's going on there is you have a prominent developer, Jimmy Gamal, in a lawsuit with a contractor, and that's Control Services LLC, owned by Joe Balowski. Now, the bottom line here is Gamal is saying through a counterclaim that he's owed $6.1 million because of the land that was used and the time that it took. And he's also claiming that this agreement that Balowski claims he violated never existed. In fact, he calls it fictitious, and he says that his signature was forged. So I'm going to tell you a little bit about that. We're also going to chat a bit about what's going on in this 8th District congressional race that pits U.S. Rep. Rob Menendez against Hoboken Mayor Ravi Bala. So we got something about the GUARD Act put out by Bala, and that actually revolves around classified documents, and of course, that brought U.S. Senator Bob Menendez into the equation. So we're going to talk about that. We're also going to go over an overview of these reports filed with the New Jersey Election Law Enforcement Commission, and those are basically the campaign finance reports. So we looked at Hoboken and Jersey City, and right now, former Governor Jim McGreevey and 3rd Ward Councilman Mike Russo, respectively, have significant leads there. And today, my guest will be New Jersey City University Interim President Andres Acebo. So all that and a whole lot more right after this word from our sponsors.
Good Friend Self-Storage in North Bergen, New Jersey is a fully climate-controlled facility equipped with state-of-the-art security, packing supplies, a Refer Friend program, and multiple loading docks convenient for commercial use. Located just off of Route 3 at 4301 Tunnelly Avenue, Route 1 and 9. Call 201-867-2444 or visit us on the web today. Good Friend Self-Storage. Let us be your good friend.
Newport, the luxury waterfront community on the Hudson River, offers a quality of life you deserve in one of our many high-rise towers. With amenities such as the on-site Newport Path, light rail, Newport Town Square, 3 playgrounds, dog run, upscale restaurants, retail giants like Kohl's, JCPenney, Macy's, and Target. Morton Williams and Acme Supermarket are just outside your front door. A health and fitness center, skating rink, and medical facilities are also on site. Enjoy the New York skyline from our waterfront and various parks. Manhattan is just one pass stop away, or a quick ride through the Holland Tunnel. Nursery and private elementary schools all on site. 12-screen movie theater at the Newport Center Mall. Looking to visit? Stay at the Westin or Marriott Hotel. For more information, visit us at newportnj.com. Make lasting memories to cherish forever. It's incredible. It's you, Newport. Live like you want.
Hudson County View live at Uncut, John Arhitis. So let's talk about what's going on at Hudson County Superior Court, specifically this lawsuit where you got the Gamal Group Corporation and Control Services LLC battling it out. Now, at a glance, this doesn't really sound like a big deal, a dispute over property, but when you dig into both these complaints, you got some bold allegations on both sides. So, as I mentioned, the Gamal Group is run by Ehab Gamal, but everyone calls him Jimmy. And on the other side, you got Control Services, which is owned and operated by Joe Balowski, and he served as the Deputy Office of Emergency Management Coordinator in Bayonne, as I've said previously. Now, again, when you dig into the lawsuit, first, the claim from Control Services says, Gamal and IFT have failed to pay Control Services for work, services, materials, and equipment that is provided and or completed, and for which Control Services has some timely submitted invoices. Control Services has made demands for payment and attempted to resolve this dispute without litigation, including correspondence sent to IFT and Gamal demanding payment. Ultimately, such demands have been ignored. And, if you look through the pages, what was filed, they're claiming that Gamal owes them $688,240.91 for services rendered, so a pretty specific number, but they broke down the hourlies and all that. Now, all right, fair enough, dispute over pay, not really crazy, right? But then when you look at this counterclaim that Gamal just filed yesterday through his attorney, Jared Geist, it gets a lot more interesting. So first of all, he says that he was supposed to have a tear down for the structures located at 35 Avenue A. Now, he says that was never memorialized in writing, which It's kind of weird. You would think you would have something in writing for an agreement of that magnitude, but this is what the claim says. And then he says not only did Control not perform the work that they were paid to do, actually that they said they would do, they actually utilized the site as a home of operations for an unrelated waste management business, and that's A&L Disposal. Now, it says upon information and belief, plaintiff operated a waste management garbage company unrelated to its agreement and business with counterclaimant, which is of course the Gamal Group. And counterclaimant has noticed and has evidence of, which will be provided in due course during the discovery process, plaintiff taking more than 30 of its trailers related to its waste management business and counterclaimant's property. And despite the land having a fair market rate of $50,000, Control did not pay anything. It took nearly 2 years to complete a roughly 2-month job. As I said at the top of the program, he's asserting that he's owed $6.1 million. Now, the coup de grace, at least in my mind, is that Geist says the alleged contracts, Belowski noted, are fictitious. The alleged signatures of counterclaimant are not his signature. Counterclaimant never signed these documents, and these documents are fake, fraudulent documents that involve a forgery of counterclaimant's signature. And if you follow me on Twitter, you see last night I posted his signature versus the signature that he's calling into question, and you can see that they look very different. Of course, that doesn't automatically mean forgery, but certainly something that I'm sure the court will take a look at here. So both sides are seeking, alleging breach of contract, and they're, of course, seeking attorney's fees and other relief the court deems just and equitable, so we're going to keep an eye on that one. As you can see, there's a lot going on. So let's pivot over now to the 8th District Congressional race. Just a quick reminder, as I said last week, we're going to have the only congressional debate in person in New Jersey. That's May 28th, right here, Hudson Media Group, 6 p.m. Now, having said that again, now perhaps you guys that are real political junkies have heard about the GUARD Act. And this would prevent any federal official or candidate that's been charged with a crime from having access to classified info. And you probably see where this is going, right? Hoboken Mayor Ravi Bala says if elected, he will co-sponsor this piece of legislation that was put up by U.S. Representative Mikey Sherrill. That's in the 11th District. And he's calling on his opponent, Representative Rob Menendez, who of course is Senator Menendez's son, to do the same. So, as they say, let's go to the tape. And it says, it is essential to our national security that we safeguard classified information. It is the only way to retain the trust of other nations, so they continue to share valuable intelligence secrets as well as to protect sources and methods, Bala said in a statement. Elected officials, candidates, and other federal office holders who are facing charges for serious crimes that jeopardize our national security should lose their access to top secret information. I strongly back the GUARD Act and will co-sponsor it as a member of Congress. I call on Robin Menendez Jr. to publicly back the GUARD Act and sign on as a co-sponsor. So, you know, these guys have been scrapping pretty hard for a number of weeks now, so this should come as no surprise. But the interesting thing is when Sherrill put this out, a lot of people were saying, well, this is obviously about former President Donald Trump, who of course looks like he's going to be the Republican nominee again this year. Now, in an email blast from just about 8 days ago, she says, because Donald Trump, who has been indicted on federal charges for mishandling classified documents for his role in attempting to overturn the 2020 election results, is all but certain to win the Republican nomination for president. And yes, this would apply to Senator Menendez, too, who has been charged with abusing his power as the chairman of the Senate Foreign Relations Committee by accepting bribes from foreign governments. Republican or Democrat, if you undermine our laws, our country, and our Constitution, you must be held accountable. So that's interesting, just because Sherrill and Rep. Menendez had a pretty good work relationship up to this point. I would imagine that has changed, but nonetheless. Menendez said back in his own statement, while I have built a record of getting things done here and in Congress, Ravi resorts to performative antics because he needs to distract voters from his extensive history of ethical issues, a suspended law license, gaming pay-to-play laws, and more. Ravi knows that he can't talk about his unethical record, so he simply attacks me. I continue to focus our campaign on an unwavering commitment to our shared values with the people across this district and the tangible results we have delivered for them. And of course, the primaries on June 4th, and Kyle Jasey is a third candidate in that contest. Now, folks, we're going to take another break, and when I come back, I'll be sitting down with New Jersey City University Interim President Andres Acebo. We'll be right back.
Burns Brothers Memorials, Monuments, and Markers, 787 Tunley Avenue, Jersey City. Hudson County's only monument maker, serving all faiths and cemeteries. Design, studio, and launch inventory on site. Cemetery inscriptions and custom orders welcome. Burns Brothers Memorials, Monuments, and Markers, 787 Tunley Avenue, just south of Secaucus Road. Craftsmanship that will last for all eternity. Burns Brothers, Jersey City, Albert H. Hopper, North Arlington. Visit us on the net. Consumer Carpets, 3408 Kennedy Boulevard in the Jersey City Heights, your one-stop store for residential and commercial floor treatments, carpeting, linoleum, tiles, laminates, hardwood floors, area rugs, remnants, all major brands, all in stock. Free estimates, same-day installation. Consumer Carpets, it's savings, selection, installation. Credit cards and debit cards accepted. Financing available. Consumer Carpets, price to fit your budget, installation to fit your schedule. On the net at consumercarpets.com. Consumer Carpets, Jersey City, 201-792-2712.
Panapinto Properties, Jersey City, shaping the workplace with state-of-the-art office spaces and addresses your company desires. Building residences that define your home environment, adjacent to all modes of transportation with on-site parking available. The right address, the right lease. Call 201-521-9000 or visit online at panapintodevelopment.com. Panapinto Properties, building Jersey City for everyone.
Hudson County View live on Uncut, John Arhitis, and as I mentioned a few moments ago, today my guest is New Jersey City University Interim President Acebo. Thanks for coming in.
Thank you for having me, John.
You're very welcome, Andy. So there's a lot to discuss. Obviously, you guys have just a ton of initiatives going on, and we're getting towards commencement. But let's start here. So the most recent reporting, whether locally or statewide, has been about what's going on with NJCU, and are they going to be taken on by another institution? You know,
Sure.
the Monitor has proposed perhaps teaming up with somebody like a Rutgers or like a Montclair, and I know there was a couple other suggestions too. So where do you think that stands, and how do you think that would work for the university if you were to go in that direction?
Yeah, I think I subscribe to the adage that nothing about you is for you without you, right? And I think what we've been trying to revitalize on our campus is communal engagement, to be a true steward of place, anchored in community. I think any partnership, affiliation, of which we've already engaged in quite a few over the last year, including with Hudson Community College, launching the Connect program. That is a partnership, that is an academic affiliation of moving the needle in our community. Those are things worthwhile pursuing. Anything, I don't subscribe to a deficit mindset, right? I think that that's probably been helpful at the university over the last year.
Probably.
I think anything that adds value to our community, that for the folks that put a lot of trust in the promise of higher education, something that is reasonably, in certain circumstances, being questioned across the country, with higher education being in flux and embracing the disruptions of that industry, I think are worthy of being pursued and examined. So I think there's a lot to be said about preserving a legacy and a unique identity that is tied to a mission of mobility. New Jersey City University, for nearly a century, has served a disproportionate share of first-generation working-class kids and working adults who care for their moms and their abuelas at the same time that they're pursuing something better for themselves that has a generational ripple. You can preserve that and at the same time recognize that the status quo is not something that we're going to preserve. I didn't sign up and no one on my team signed up to preserve status quo. It's about embracing the disruptions of higher education and being an agent of disruption at the same time. So the shorter answer to that, right, is that anything that will serve our community and enhance our continued presence in Hudson County and on the west side of Jersey City as we enter our second century is worthy of being examined and explored.
All right. So you said this is something, it's not a secret to anyone that you guys have been talking about, working on for about a year. And when do you think, if there is a conclusion on this, do you think that'll be something that we see, I don't know, the end of the scholastic year, the end of the calendar year, midsummer? Any guesses, any estimate?
No, I think, look, there's a lot of stakeholder input that is important to me. So something that is particularly unique in higher education is this concept of shared governance, right? I think so much of what we've been able to deliver on and in an unprecedented fashion over the last year is because we didn't seek to change institutional culture, we sought to galvanize it. Our union partners in particular are significant, not just benefactors, but champions and partners that are indispensable to the future revitalization of our institution. Our legislative delegation and state and local officials are important, community leaders, and at the end of the day, the students and the families that we serve are need to be the loudest and most pronounced voices in those conversations. And so there's natural processes that have to be deployed. But I do also subscribe to what Dr. King called the fierce urgency of now, right? And not squandering time. But there will be a deliberate process. I think you shouldn't anticipate anything this academic year or this fiscal year. There are, again, internal constituencies and there's political realities that circumspect those things. But we will act with all deliberate speed to bring the resources and the affiliations and partnerships that enhance the outcomes of our future Gothic Knights and current students.
All right, speaking of political realities, obviously the legislature has provided some help the past, I don't know, 5 years maybe?
Yeah.
And I don't believe the most recent one was $10 million.
That's right.
So what do you think about, you know, the efforts from the state senators and the assembly members in Hudson County? That delegation has been, what kind of an asset do you think they've been to
I got to tell you,
NJCU?
I mean, including those that have that are no longer in the State House and the current delegation itself, I'm particularly proud of what we've been again able to galvanize over the last year. There's making it clear to our community that we're not just brick and mortar, right? That we're an organization that is epitomized by the stories that crisscross our campus, and I've been able to find good champions in that. Whether it was Assemblywoman Annette Chaparro last year that came in strong and quintessentially Hudson County fashion, loudly and boldly for us. Senator Stack has been a good champion. Our current delegation being led, I think, extraordinary, someone who's become like a sister to me, and Senator McKnight. Senator McCurgy has been a huge champion. And then the new delegation also has been incredibly powerful. Folks that find ourselves in different stations in life, but that have been long-standing friends, and like Assemblyman Rodriguez, Assemblywoman Ramirez, and Stamato, and Sampson, and Marenko. Got to make sure I don't leave anyone out, or else I get in trouble. But those voices, the Latino caucus being led by Nelly Poe and Senate Majority Leader Ruiz, the Black caucus, these voices have been deliberately engaged, and they've responded to my outreach very early on at the onset of my term and my appointment about that this place needs to be championed, that there are societal ills that systemically plague on our community, and there's a lot of folks that show up for ribbon cuttings and are nowhere to be seen, right, when crisis hits. And as I've said publicly and privately, crisis doesn't create character, it reveals it. And I think what our institution has shown is that our path forward, our revitalization, has been marked by channeling the grit and tenacity of our students. And that's worthy of emulation, and that's why we're on the upswing. And I'd caution anyone about betting against our community.
Very good, Mr. President. Folks, don't go anywhere. Don't go anywhere, Eddie. We'll be right back. We're just going to take a quick break.
Good Friend Self-Storage in North Bergen, New Jersey is a fully climate-controlled facility equipped with state-of-the-art security, packing supplies, a Refer Friend program, and multiple loading docks convenient for commercial use. Located just off of Route 3 at 4301 Tunnelly Avenue, Route 1 and 9. Call 201-867-2444 or visit us on the web today. Good Friend Self-Storage. Let us be your good friend.
Newport, the luxury waterfront community on the Hudson River, offers a quality of life you deserve in one of our many high-rise towers. With amenities such as the on-site Newport Path, light rail, Newport Town Square, 3 playgrounds, dog run, upscale restaurants, retail giants like Kohl's, JCPenney, Macy's, and Target. Morton Williams and Acme Supermarket are just outside your front door. A health and fitness center, skating rink, and medical facilities are also on site. Enjoy the New York skyline from our waterfront and various parks. Manhattan is just one pass stop away, or quick ride through the Holland Tunnel. Nursery and private elementary schools all on site. 12-screen movie theater at the Newport Center Mall. Looking to visit? Stay at the Westin or Marriott Hotel. For more information, visit us at newportnj.com. Make lasting memories to cherish forever. It's incredible. It's you, Newport. Live like you want.
Hudson County View live on Uncut. John Arhitis, and I'm still here with New Jersey City University Interim President Andres Acebo. So, Andy, you briefly touched on for a moment the debt, and much has been made about the debt. I mean, obviously the past administration did what they did with the land and other financial decisions, and we've heard from the comptroller, and of course you're hearing from the monitor as we talked about. Now, when you're looking at that, and when you're trying to reverse some of those decisions that, of course, you weren't a part of, like, for example, like selling back some of the land, like,
Right.
how does that impact the departments and the faculty and the students, and, like, what goes into, basically trying to turn the clock back on stuff like that?
So thank you for that question, and I've been chomping at the bit to address it in the appropriate forums. I think a lot of it is like, and I would urge your audience, right, to like really, cynicism is not a bad thing in and of itself. And I think we live in a day and age where clickbait and paywalls invite speculation versus actually thorough reporting. And I think when you forfeit that obligation, you conflate a lot of things, right? So the university actually, its real estate obligations, what was at one point seen as a boon, is something that has been decades in the making. It would be incredibly uncouth of me to put it on the shoulders of my immediate predecessors. There were really noble intentions dating back to President Carlos Hernandez that envisioned the west side of Jersey City becoming this academic village to really revitalize that segment of the city. The city council and mayor's office were incredibly engaged in bringing resources and bringing the renaissance that is to Jersey City to both sides of Jersey City. And so those pursuits were, I think, noble. The university didn't develop luxury housing. What the university possesses are, and this is somewhat wonky, right, but it's ground leases that facilitated the development of those properties with the idea of bringing auxiliary revenue sources to the university. Mm-hmm. There is a confluence, almost a perfect storm, if you will, of challenges for our institution. Something that is not unique to NJCU and more endemic of higher education generally, which is you have a pandemic that confronts and in real time meets a chronic enrollment cliff at the same time that there is a reasonable questioning of the value proposition of higher education, the advent and the worthwhile pursuit of free community college that threatens, again, the business model of senior public regional comprehensives like NJCU. All those things come to a flux and create challenges. What we're in the process of doing is examining a methodical approach to delevering and monetizing those ground leases, right? Things that are not long-term financial interest to the university, but how do you in real time see and realize the net present day value of long-term financial revenue inlays? Yeah. And that, from a practical standpoint, is a reinvestment strategy. It won't negatively impact our faculty or our students or support services, but it delevers capital risks and decades-old deferred maintenance obligations. It delevers our debt obligations that are primarily EFA revenue bond debt that, again, over the past decade have been incurred. So that's a strategy to be deployed. I think what is true is that, which is not unique to organizations like NJCU, is that you have folks that come with lofty ambitions that seek to move an institution to a different place. I've endeavored to not erect new buildings, I've tried to lift up people, right? And that's what our community, I think, is responding to, and that's the strategy that we're deploying, right? It's that, how do I reinvest in our current students and those that are yet to come? Whether it's the Bruins behind the camera that are gonna become Gothic Knights, right? Or those that are yet to even think of our institution. That's what we're investing in.
Understood. Now, I'll leave you on in a way it's a personal question, but you'll get what I mean. So you've had this interim title for a bit. I imagine that, I don't want to put words in your mouth, but I imagine this is something you'd like to do in the long haul if it was up to you. So, I mean, where do you see yourself and this institution in, say, 5 years?
I think we probably should have had the sofa then. I think for me, it's to be anchored in purpose with the community. Title matters very little to me, John. I answered a call to our campus. I was moved sincerely. Imposter syndrome is a very real thing, particularly when you're a first-generation son of a waiter and a mother who cleaned someone else's houses. To get to be the first in your family to go to college, the first to become a lawyer, the first to become a college president, right? Like, my sons are a generation removed from that original struggle. This year will mark 60 years since my dad came on a raft from Cuba, right? That story is what I try to personify, that grit and that struggle and resilience. I hope that my journey, whenever it comes to an end, because I do believe it needs to come to an end at a certain point, I do believe, and maybe this is unpopular in Hudson County, in term limits.
Term limits?
But I'm here to try to move the needle and build something that is worthy of someone wanting to succeed and elevate. And I'm more focused on the jobs that our students will get than the one that I get to keep.
Very cool. Andy, thanks so much.
Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, thanks for tuning in. We're not done yet. We'll be right back.
Burns Brothers Memorials, Monuments, and Markers, 787 Tunley Avenue, Jersey City. Hudson County's only monument maker, serving all faiths and cemeteries. Design, studio, and large inventory on site. Cemetery inscriptions and custom orders welcome. Burns Brothers Memorials, Monuments, and Markers, 787 Tunley Avenue, just south of Secaucus Road. Craftsmanship that will last for all eternity. Burns Brothers, Jersey City, Albert H. Hopper, North Arlington. Visit us on the net. Consumer Carpets, 3408 Kennedy Boulevard in the Jersey City Heights, your one-stop store for residential and commercial floor treatments, carpeting, linoleum, tiles, laminates, hardwood floors, area rugs, remnants, all major brands, all in stock. Free estimates, same-day installation. Consumer Carpets, it's savings, selection, installation. Credit cards and debit cards accepted. Financing available. Consumer Carpets, price to fit your budget, installation to fit your schedule. On the net at consumercarpets.com. Consumer Carpets, Jersey City, 201-792-2712.
Panapinto Properties, Jersey City, shaping the workplace with state-of-the-art office spaces and addresses your company desires. Building residences that define your home environment, adjacent to all modes of transportation with on-site parking available. The right address, the right lease. Call 201-521-9000 or visit online at panapintodevelopment.com. Panapinto Properties, building Jersey City for everyone.
Hudson County View live at Uncut, John Arhitis. So a couple more before we call it a day. So just a quick one on the 8th District congressional race that I didn't mention yet. We saw now 3rd Ward Councilman Mike Russo, who we're not going to really get a chance to break it down fully, who has $220,000 cash on hand ahead of the nonpartisan municipal race in Hoboken next year. Of course, we got a mayoral next November. And having said that, he endorsed U.S. Representative Rob Menendez for a 2nd term, and of course he joins 1st Ward Councilman Paul Presenzano, 4th Ward Councilman Ruben Ramos, and 2nd Ward Councilwoman Tiffany Fisher in endorsing the congressman. Of course, it's a 5-4 council, so this is not really shocking, but the timing came just before there was a meet and greet at the Hudson T building where Fisher lives last night, and Russo was on the host committee. Just quickly here, in an email blast and Facebook post, and then later a tweet too, he said, Hoboken is fortunate to have Rob Menendez fighting for us in Congress, and I am thrilled to endorse him for re-election. From helping us secure Union Dry Dock to fighting helicopter noise, from tackling the housing affordability crisis to securing billions of dollars for mass transit, Rob has been a champion for the issues that matter to Hoboken residents. So pretty self-explanatory. And of course, when you look on the other side of the coin, we've seen Councilman-at-Large Joe Quintero, who is of course now the chairman of the Hoboken Debs, and 5th Ward Councilman Phil Cohen come out in support of Bala, and there'll probably be a couple more on the way. Now, we don't really have a ton of time, but I did look at all the fundraising numbers in Jersey City. So I guess just very quickly, I could tell you that Hudson County Commissioner Bill O'Day is still trailing behind former Governor Jim McGreevey. McGreevey raised $523,493.92 and has $1,078,554.41 cash on hand. And he has a lot of donations throughout the state, including some other former governors like Dick Cody. And you also saw there, his name is escaping me at the moment. I mean, there's just so many people who donated to him. But that was John Corzine that also donated as well. And then O'Day, he raised $229,171, and he has $665,063, $63.48, excuse me. And then you have Musab Ali, the former Board of Education president, who will actually be here with us next week. He says he raised $100,000 in the first 48 hours of his candidacy, while Council President Joyce Waterman has about $102,000 cash on hand. So this race is really starting to shape up. And of course, we can't forget about Wardee Councilman James Solomon. He actually has $175,000 cash on hand, roughly. And we're still not sure what he's doing yet next year, but that is an announcement that people are certainly looking forward to. Now, with that, just very quickly, I'll mention also that the Jersey City Council tonight is going to vote on a pilot program for health testing and harm reduction kiosk at their 1 Jackson Square location. That's where the health department is located. And long story short, this is going to have fentanyl and xylazine test strips, Narcan, and test by drink kits to identify illicit drugs in drinks. And this is a program that is fully funded through grants and is only going to cost $43,950, and that's according to Jersey City Division for Disease Prevention Director Paul Kate. So with that, folks, we're going to let you go. Like I said, next week my guest will be Jersey City mayoral candidate Musab Ali. We'll see you then.
Thanks for watching Hudson Media Group.